Hey, hey, I'm back again. We're going to talk about my book 50 Questions to Answer When You Reach 50. Let's go. So, I wrote this book during COVID. Yes, during COVID, I decided to go ahead and do it because I had the dream of writing a book for so long. And so I wanted to at least write this to see. And it was hard, and it was during COVID. And I thought, okay, I'll have all the time. But with all of that, I did. And I'll tell you this, it wasn't easy. Actually, it was really hard because I had a goal to write the book within, I'd given myself 3 months. I was like, okay, I started in August, and I told myself at the very latest December, it'll be done. And what ended up happening was September, no, November. Well, September we put our house on the market. It sold really quickly, and so we had to move. So that was the first, you know, disruption. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Went ahead, and I still kept writing. But then it was really a major distraction because trying to move, pack, move to a new place. And I don't know if you were aware, there was a time, at least in Atlanta, it was crazy. Like there were times when, once you sold the house, selling the house was the easy part. What was the difficult part was trying to find another place. And like we'd put in a bid and then boom, someone will outbid us. Put another bid, someone will outbid. Oh, and sometimes we're like, okay, let's go. We'll find a place. And then we'll get there like an open house. So many people and they'd have so many offers. We're like, okay, this isn't working. And so we decided, okay, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and rent. And so that's what we did. So we rented, and even that was a process, trying to find a place to rent because rent had gone up. And so we did that, and then we're like, okay, we're going to be able to find a place. And this is me trying to write a book. So that was disruptive. And said, okay, I said, you know what? But I was still determined. December was my deadline. I was going to get it done. And listen, if you're viewing, let me know where you're viewing from. I'd love to know. I'm in Atlanta. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to get it done by December. So we moved. And then this was 2020, right? Okay, 2020. And then I got COVID. Whew. And I don't know if you've had COVID, but that first version, that first strain was something else. And this was before the vaccine. Actually, my husband and I got it together. It was so funny because my husband's a physician, so he works at the hospital. And I remember telling him, I'm like, I think I have COVID. And he was like, no, you can't have COVID. Like, I see people in the hospital. This is not how they are when they have COVID. I'm like, babe, I have COVID. And you know why I knew I had COVID? My energy level was like zero. And if you kind of know me, I am like energy level up here. And I thought to myself, sorry, I'm just sending a text back to a friend. Yeah. And my energy level was like out the roof. It was nothing. It was zero. I told him, I said, babe, something's up. Like, and the thing is, I had nothing to compare it with because I didn't know what COVID was like. But I told him, I said, I think something's up. And I wasn't going out because I was working from home. So I wasn't going out. The only people going out were my kids. Like my son was still in school, but he was getting tested every week. And then my oldest son, yeah, both of them were getting tested. So I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I wasn't even going to the grocery store. Um, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, I told my husband, I was like, I think something's up. And so eventually we decided to go get tested. And guess what? We both had COVID. And that, I'm telling you, that was rough. That was rough. I was constantly tired. Oh my word. I had no appetite whatsoever. And I was just like, I'd wake up and I'd want to go back to sleep again. That's how I felt. It was just a weird feeling. And so eventually I got past it. And it was around the holidays. So it was like I was just constantly in bed. Thankful. I'm so thankful to DoorDash. So we would order food. I would go downstairs and take mine. For my husband and I, and then we'll leave the rest for the kids. So, and we weren't really interacting with the kids because we didn't want them to get it, even though I think they gave it to us. But that's neither here nor there. Who knows? But after a while, we got better. But that time was, whew, COVID. That first COVID time, it was, oh my god, it was terrible. It was terrible. But I'm thankful that I survived it. I got past it. I'm here. So that was the second thing that happened. So I was like, okay, let's wait. Let's see what happens. All right. And then the unthinkable, like the real unthinkable thing happened. I had taken my dog to the vet. He was supposed to be groomed that day. And my husband and I had decided we'll go for a bike ride. So we said, okay, we'll drop off Shadow at the groomers. And then I would go for a bike ride. Now, before then, before I took Shadow to the groomers, I had taken him outdoors because I wanted him to make sure he did his business before taking him to the groomers. So I did that. We went for a walk. His normal self. I'm like, okay, so we're going to groomers. So I had Shadow, and Shadow's my baby. Like Shadow was on my lap. He was just chilling and like a little ball. And he was a multiple small. And so okay, we're like, okay. And so I took him. We got to the vet, not the vet. Why I say vet? Groomers. Dropped him off at the groomers, and then I said, okay, let's go bike riding because I figured the amount of time that would take him to groom, we might as well spend that time bike riding, and we'll come back and pick him up. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't even 3 minutes. Within 5 minutes, we got a call. Within 3 to 5 minutes, we got a call saying something was wrong. So we rushed back to go check on Shadow. And my husband's like, you just go get him. I'm like, okay. I went in. I was hesitant because I was like, well, I don't know what I'm walking into. I got there. I didn't like the way he looked. And I rushed outside to my husband, like, babe, you need to go in there. I don't know what's going on. So he went in. He was already limp. And I said, and he came with brush Shadow, and they said he had like a seizure as soon as they started grooming him. I said, okay. And I called my husband, he told me, okay, call the emergency room, the vet hospital, and call so that they can be ready for him. So I told them what was going on. They're like, okay, we're ready for him. Just calm down. And it was probably like a 20-minute drive. At this point, Shadow was not doing anything. He was still. And I was like, this is not good. This is not good. Because normally, even if he's not saying, he just was still. And I was actually scared. Got to the hospital, gave them to the nurse who came out to meet us. And within a few minutes, they're like, he's gone. And that was hard. And if you have lost a pet, doesn't matter what kind, you know what I'm talking about. It is rough. It is hard. And I was like, for like 2 weeks, I was in a daze because it was hard for me to comprehend. And this is the thing, Shadow was my companion in terms of staying up. Like when I had work to do, everyone's in bed, Shadow's up with me. When I wake up early in the morning, Shadow's up with me. Like Shadow had a room in my home. He had a bed. His bed was in my home office. That's where he slept. He slept in my home office. And my home office is just across from my bedroom. It's just you walk out and then you walk into another room and then he's right there. So he was on the same floor with us. And so that was gone. And so that was hard. That was tough. And so that also impacted me completing the book. And so from a time frame of December, that was the goal to finish it by December. I ended up finishing the book in April. Yeah. Way longer than what I wanted, but you know, um that was hard. But I finally got the book done. Look. Finally got it. And I know you might not be able to read it because I know kind of switches things. So it's actually titled 50 Questions to Answer When You Reach 50. Yeah. And I wrote this book because I had been encountering so many women that were just going through so much. And I wanted to find a way to help them. Um, and just be able to give them the insight that because they're older doesn't mean that their life is over. I really wanted to get across to women because I know for a fact from some women I had spoken with over the years that they really felt that their life was over because they were in their 50s and over. And I wanted to, sorry, I wanted to make sure my mic wasn't switched off. And I really wanted to share that message because I wanted them to know that their life has meaning and they their life is meaningful and their life does not the value of their life does not diminish because they're older. And that's a hard thing to explain because some women really honestly believe that it's done, like their life is over. And I really want to switch that around because it's not true. That's the thing. And I think that's the honest truth. That is not true. Like it doesn't mean your life isn't over unless you say it is. Society doesn't determine that. Your friends and family don't determine that. Only you can determine that. Like if you say your life is over, then you say that, but not other people. You know, that's not the case. My goodness, I'm so hot. I'm hold on one quick second. I'm going to switch off the heater. I have a fan heater in here, but it is way too hot. Let me switch it off. Ah, let's do this. Woo, yay! I was so hot. I'm like, whoo. All right. Yes. Okay. All right. So let me. All right. So let me actually read from it. So I dedicated this book to my dad. My dad is like my day one. You know, he was the one that treated me. I mean, the first male figure that treated me with so much love. Oh yes. To my dad, you were my first day one. You loved me and believed I could achieve anything. Thank you. I love you. I miss you daily. And I really do. I wish he was around when I wrote the book, but I dedicated it to him. And all the people that helped me to get this book, make this book possible. Like my mom, who is a major part of who I've become, maybe even more than she realizes. And I'm also thankful beyond words for my hubby, Kingsley, who I also call my king, aka my king. You're ever so supportive of all my dreams, the crazy ones, the not so crazy ones, and everything in between. I'm not perfect by a long shot, but you are perfect for me. I love you, my king. And to my wonderful boys, I appreciate your patience and understanding beyond words while working on this book. Timaine, you were 5 years old when I mentioned to you that I wanted to write a book. Every year or so, you would remind me gently. Um, and each year, other times it was a direct question asking if I still intended to write the book. And now, at 15 years old, I have it completed. It took me 10 years to finally write this book, but I did it. And then my brothers, thank you both for your enduring love and support, even though we live thousands of miles apart. Joel, thank you for providing the extra accountability because he also was on my case too, my older brother. You would lovingly ask me how the book was coming along. You saw the different iterations of the book that finally morphed into what you're reading today. I am thankful to you for encouraging me to get this book out into the world. Finally, but not least, I thank the Lord for helping me get through all the obstacles along the way to get me to the published author finish line. And yes, I'm excited about that. And so for me, I wanted to write a book that made people take action. So this is what I wrote in the beginning. I like reading books, especially self help books. However, most times while reading them, I'm motivated and excited to take action, but rarely do the work after I've completed the book. I was consuming, but not creating. I felt I was doing myself a disservice by consuming and not doing anything with the knowledge I had acquired. Lately, I have been more intentional about taking action after the consumption of information acquired through books or through programs, in person or online. For the creation of this book, I decided to be very deliberate about producing a book that gives the reader the ability to take action. Questions are powerful. They have the potential to create transformation, especially when you have to answer them yourself. Your brain, the brain is like a search engine that scans for answers when you give a question. My goal is that through this book, you will learn to grow you will learn more about even more about who you are, and in the process you grow in more ways than one. Introduction. You are here to take up space loudly, proudly, and fiercely. Dele Alunubi. That was the quote. Society does a fantastic job of packaging women into boxes labeled with a sell by date or the dreaded expired sticker. The sell by date is a low key warning that you are no longer as valuable. Typically, the sell by date is assigned to women in the 40s age range. Then in our 50s, we get labeled with the expired sticker. You are no longer to be seen, you're no longer needed to be heard, and you're no longer valued. I'm on a mission to change this age old narrative surrounding midlife. Type in midlife in any search engine, and the next word that pops up is crisis. Click on the images, and you will find images of midlife women that support the age old narrative that we don't matter and should not be seen. Midlife does not have to be a crisis. It can be time for your midlife thriving journey, a journey where we not only age gracefully, but boldly. We have the power to change the narrative that society has placed on us. In doing this, it not only benefits us, but the younger generation coming behind us. It's time for us to show up and be seen. As you start this book, I want you to remember to begin just where you are. Please do not compare yourself to others. This book is for you, not your spouse, not your children, not your parents, not your best friend, not your sister or brother, not your grandparents. I think you get where I'm going. This book is just for you. Your brain might come up with ways to point you in the direction of compare and despair. Don't go down that road. Stay on the path of growth and gratitude. Questions have power. They give your brain an opportunity to work and get creative. Questions help you grow in more ways than you can imagine. The answers are always within you. They always are. Your brain will respond. It's easy to look for answers outside of ourselves. Oftentimes, you may find that you want to look to others for answers, but the answers are always within you. We do that constantly. Like, oh, let me go find. No, you have the challenge yourself to find the answer. At least have an answer to begin with. And then maybe, can ask someone else, but at least have something to begin with. Leading up to my 50th birthday in 2018, I decided to embark on a journey to interview women who had already celebrated their 50th birthday to document and learn from their experiences. As I gathered the data, I realized that approximately 70% of the women gave me answers that depicted midlife as a time of doom and gloom. Here I was, excited to step into the golden circle of life, and I was being told to lower my expectations. I was disappointed at first, but realized quickly that I needed to put my coach cape on and decide for myself what I wanted my experience of midlife to be. As a life coach for women in their 50s and over, I knew that my thoughts about midlife were going to determine my experience with midlife. Excuse me. I decided to intentionally embody the thought, it's a blessing to get to 50. When I had that thought, I could feel gratitude seeping right through my skin down into my bones, which in turn made me excited to take action towards my midlife goals. I had no intention of letting my age prevent me from fulfilling the courageous goal I had set for this next chapter of my life. After all, I'm still here, alive and well, and like Pitbull says, every day above ground is a great day. Remember that. One of the reasons for creating this book is to give you a chance to look back on your amazing journey, to take a look at your past with fascination. I hope you complete the tasks ahead and in so doing, unlock the story of your life thus far. This book is probably very different from any book you've read before. It's a book that allows you to respond to questions and to allow your response to shape the ebb and flow of the journey. It's also a book that you can share with your loved ones so they can get an insight into who you really are. I know that might be scary, but if you picked up this book, you're probably 50 or over. It's time to feel the fear and do it anyway. It's for a great reason. Yes, you. You deserve to have a deeper relationship with yourself, and this is a great place to start. Creating an intimate relationship with you is without a doubt the best place to begin this next chapter of your life. This book has powerful questions. Consider these questions little fragments of curiosity that are being woven together piece by piece as you answer the questions. Your mind will grapple with the questions and, in some cases, cause you to wonder why you should even provide an answer. I want you to override the thought and keep on going. You might even find yourself sitting in awkward moments of silence as your brain begins to figure out a response. These questions will help you get to know yourself better and really get to know the you underneath the label of daughter, sister, spouse, mother, grandmother, friend, cousin, auntie, godmother, corporate employee, entrepreneur, stay at home mom, prayer warrior, pastor, and the list is endless. There are numerous reasons to ask questions. Here are my reasons. To acquire knowledge, you're going to know so much about yourself. To exclude confusion, a confused mind does nothing. To help you grow by discovering answers for yourself, get ready for the growth tour. To stimulate creativity, your creative juices are going to start flowing. To begin or strengthen a relationship, you're going to become acquainted with yourself on a deeper level. Some questions will be easy for you, others may feel uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is not a reason to stop. The questions might seem intrusive, especially if you're used to surface level questions all these years. But underneath is a question clothed in a beacon of light seeking you, the you underneath all the layers. I wrote this book because I encountered so many women in midlife walking through life like they were sleepwalking. Most were not truly embracing who they were. I want to give women a chance to spend a few minutes getting to know themselves again, a peek into the unlimited possibilities awaiting them. My main goal is for you to fall in love with yourself one question at a time. Fall in love with all facets of you, the parts of you that shine bright and the parts you keep in the dark. I want you to love the scars you've encountered over the years, the flaws you can't help, while acknowledging the highlights and imperfections that make you who you are. Life is 50-50. You have to have equal airtime to both. As you begin to answer the questions, you will begin to develop an intimate relationship with yourself or strengthen the relationship you have, and falling in love with yourself becomes a given. As you begin to fall in love with yourself, you will feel more alive and start to open up to the possibility of living life where you are making an impact in the world in your own unique way. We all have gifts to share. Until you get to know yourself again intimately, that won't happen. I say again because when you were a child, you knew who you were and you were unapologetically you. As we grow, we begin to change, and most of us become more concerned about what people say and begin to conform as a result. Before we know it, we're on the people pleasing path and become uncomfortable. Over time, you no longer know who you are as you mold your personality to fit those around you. You hit midlife and you're in an emotional tug of war with yourself, mainly because you have no idea who you are anymore. I want to ask you a favor. Please answer all the questions and answer each one honestly. Answer the questions for you. Don't judge or censor yourself. Don't skip over any of them. If you come across a question and see you're not sure of the response, I want you to ask yourself, if you knew the answer, what would it be? And the hint, I don't know is not an appropriate answer to any of the 50 questions. I'm so excited for you. You're going to discover a lot about you. Get ready for this exhilarating journey. The first question I have on here, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people find it difficult. Let me do this. The first question is, what are the 20 things you love most about yourself? And you know what's interesting? This is a hard question. A lot of the people, they're like, oh, I'm not sure. They struggle with this. And you might be struggling with it too. Why do you think you're struggling with it? Like, why is it difficult for you? Why is it a struggle for you? And I think it's because you've never really looked at yourself in that way. Like, I'm sure if I asked you, what do you love about your best friend? What do you love about your kids? What do you love about your sister? What do you love about your parents? I'm sure you can rattle down, oh, da, 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 da. But about yourself, you don't really look inwards. You hardly ever do. And that's why I wrote this book, because I want you to start to fall in love with yourself again, on a new level, different. So, 20 things. And I normally do this when I have my retreats. I normally tell them to do it. And I'll be honest with you, it's a struggle for a lot of them. Now, the ones that don't struggle are the ones who have been on multiple retreats with me, because I always ask this question. And I do this because I really want people to be comfortable loving themselves. Like, do you know what you can create for yourself from a place of love where you love you unconditionally? Like, you love yourself, you love all warts and all, flaws and imperfections. Like, when you decide to love yourself on that level, success is just a given at that point, because there's nothing else you need to say. Like, you know yourself and you're excited about who you are and how you're showing up in the world. So, it's a hard question for most. However, most of us can answer this question about the people we love in our life. This is the primer question. It prepares you for what's ahead. Just like makeup primer is a base for foundation that allows it to go on smoother and last longer. The first question is the base for all the other questions. You might be thinking, this is conceited or arrogant. Far from it. This is an important task that gives you an opportunity to do something for you. Oh, and it makes you feel free. Thank you. It does make you feel free. Thank you, Simply Lily. Yes, it does. You might be thinking it's conceited or arrogant. Far from it. This is an important task that gives you an opportunity to do something you rarely do, and that is listing the amazing things you love about yourself. This is an act of love towards you. So that's the first one. And so that's the first question. And so you have all this space here to answer the question. So that was number one. Number two, what did I love to do as a child? So really think hard and allow your brain to go to work by pulling on activities from your childhood. What was it that you loved to do? Something that even until today, when you think about it, you break out in a big over the top grin. Now that you've listed one or more activities, would you be able to do the activity today? If yes, you owe it to yourself to start to do this activity that brings you so much joy. Now, if you're unable to do the activity, write down the reason why you can't. And once you write that down, oops, what happened? Okay. And once you write that down, let me see. I want you to ask yourself if that's a good enough reason not to restart the activity. And I want you to be honest with yourself. Like, the goal is to do at least once if you can. And so some people are like, oh, I don't think I can do that anymore. Be honest. Is it possible? Goodness, I'm so thirsty. Like I want you to ask yourself, is it possible? You know, I need to get water. I'm so sorry. But I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to rush downstairs, get water. Listen, the weather in Atlanta is just crazy. I'll be right back. Let me quickly get some water and I'll be right back. Ugh. Yay, I'm back. All right. I made it. Yay, I'm back. All right. So let me get my water poured into my container. Whew. It's one of the things I love doing. I love drinking water. And it's so, I mean, it just helps with your skin and how you feel. So, and I think because the weather's been really cold lately, I've been drinking a lot more water than I normally do, which it's not a bad thing. I think it's good. Okay, so I got that. All right. All right. And simply, Lily, while you're on, if you're still on, I'm not sure if that you're the one still on. If you are, and you have questions for me, I would love to answer any of your questions. So please ask away if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them. All right. So, yeah. So be honest with yourself. Like, is there an activity that you did as a child that you're like, oh, I don't think I can do that anymore? Says who? Like, really? Like, I think being able to go back to that, especially if you really enjoyed it, can you imagine how you would feel doing it now? Oh my word. That feeling is like priceless. Like, ah, like I'm excited for you. I don't even know what it is, but I'm just like getting excited, just anticipating what it is that you're going to do. All right. So the next one is, what's your favorite color and why? Do you have one that you can say right away, or do you have to think about it? No judgment. Just get curious if you don't have one. Would you like to have a favorite color if you don't have one? It's available to you, and you can choose any color you want. As a child, we normally have a favorite color, and I see no reason to stop having one because we are grown women. So, what is your favorite color? If you're listening, just type it in. I'd love to hear, like what it is. Your favorite color. All right. So, write that down and let me know. I would really love to know. What are my dreams that are yet to be accomplished? I think this is a great question because it allows you to really ask yourself why. Like if you have a dream you're yet to accomplish and you've been holding on to it, like I was holding on to my book writing, I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Like why? Imagine that you're on an island and you find yourself by the ocean of possibilities. An ocean world renowned for its power of making dreams come true. All you have to do is dip your toe into the ocean and say your dream out loud for it to become real. What would you say out loud? Like really, what would you say out loud? Some of you, I know for some of you, like this is scary. And I know, I get it. When you haven't done this work and you start to do it, it's scary and frightening because it's almost as if you're naked to yourself. Like, oh my goodness, I'm showing everything. And I know, I understand. But it's so freeing. It's like almost like a cleanse when you're able to be true. And really, what it is just you're being true to yourself. And we live in a society that does not allow women to be true to themselves. They want us to do all these different things. I mean, think about it. We're just getting off from the holidays. And I've spoken with different women who feel like, oh, I didn't do this. And I'm like, why are you choosing to focus on the things that you didn't do over the holidays? I know you did so many amazing things. But that's how we are as women. We burden, we feel like, oh, we should be doing this. It's like the list is endless. And think about the invisible workload they talk about. That's what I'm talking about. The invisible workload. And if you don't know what that means, Google it. Like that is when it's like there's so much we have to do that it's not even listed, that takes so much of our time and energy. And it's kind of like self-imposed. Like we do this to ourselves. Guess what I did this year? I didn't put the ornaments on the tree. You know why? Because I was tired. And I said, the tree with the lights, I'm good with that. Let's go. And that's what I did. Because I said I wasn't going to be stressed this Christmas. I wasn't going to stress myself. I put other decorations around the house, but I didn't put any ornaments on the tree. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that this year. And we didn't, you know? So I'm sharing this because as women, sometimes we forget what we've done in the past. We forget all the different things that we're doing, and we kind of look and say, oh, we should be doing this. Don't do that to yourself. I want you to, really acknowledge and appreciate all you've done thus far. So that was question 4. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. What was the biggest lesson you learned from your younger years that still serves you today? What's something in your teens or maybe before that? Maybe it was a lesson learned as a young adult or in your 30s or 40s. It could be a lesson you learned on your own, or it could be something you learned from your parents. Either way, it's something that serves you today and you may be able to pass on to others. Hmm. This is a question that even I'm like, ooh, okay. It is, what's my greatest fear in life? Just thinking about it might put you in a bundle of nerves, anxiety, and inaction all rolled into one. Over the years, this might have changed or it may have stayed the same. Did the fear hinder or propel you forward? Your greatest fear might have held you back in the past, but there's no reason it should prevent you from living your best midlife. If it has hindered you, what is the source of the fear? Because there's always a source. Write about the fear and disclose how you handled it or how you would like to handle it. Like, what is this? And really, it's a question to ask yourself. Like, what is the source of the fear? What do you think where's that coming from? Next one is, what is my greatest accomplishment to date? Now that we've left fear behind, we are onto something more pleasant that will probably put a smile on your face. Your brain will enjoy this exercise. The brain loves accomplishment. So, at your age, I know you have accomplished a lot, but write down the one that just blows your mind whenever you think about it. The one you didn't think you would be able to pull off, but you did it with flying colors. Write that down. hmm And I'm going to stop at 10 today. So, number 8 is, from the viewpoint of fascination, what has been your biggest disappointment? Avoid the criticism and just write from a place of compassion, your biggest disappointment. I'm a big supporter of just doing. It doesn't matter if it works out. I don't believe that it always has to work out in the same way we expect. I do believe that you have an opportunity to grow and learn from the process. I really do believe that. Like when you do, I never think there's like, oh my goodness, that failed. No. What did you learn from it? Your brain grew in some way because you did something you weren't used to doing. And to me, that's the prize. That's the gift. And number 9, what's currently keeping you up at night? See, as women, we keep the household running and we continue to hold down jobs or taking care of our aging parents and school age, college, or adult kids. And then when you lay your head down at the end of the day, which thought is at the forefront and maybe even on replay? Like, I'd love to know that. And number 10, the final one for today is, what do I remember about being 25 years old? Was it pleasant, awful, neutral? Whatever it was, please write it down in detail. In addition, you get bonus points if you remember the clothes, the music, the TV shows, or maybe something going on in the world during that time. So I want to thank you for joining me for my live stream. And if you have any questions, you can post them now or later. I'll still answer them. Thank you so much for spending this time with me because you couldn't be doing anything else with your time. You spent it with me, and I truly, truly appreciate it. All right. Thank you. Bye.